Morning, guys. So today we are going to do section 4.5, which is our two other shortcuts. There are a few little details missing from your worksheet that I don't know why they just didn't scan. So I just want to point out this is H O L I D G E M O. I think that's all that didn't go. All right, so first, make sure you label those quick. And we're going to fill in this blank. So last class we talked about SAS, side, angle, side, and side, 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 SSS. Today we're going to talk about angle, side, angle, ASA, and angle, angle, side, AAS. So the first one here is angle, side, angle, which is if two angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the included side of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. Okay. Let's make that make a little more sense. But first, remember from last class, the things we always need to label. First, label shared sides and vertical angles. Those are the first things you always need to label. So in my first picture, I have that X shape. So I have vertical angles right here. I'm labeling them with two arcs because I already have the one arc used here. And I don't want to signify to my reader that these are congruent. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say these two are. So I have to use two arcs. Over here, my shapes are touching. They're combined. So I do have a shared side. So I'm just going to mark that shared side as congruent. So I have to always do those first. That's something that the worksheet or book or test doesn't do for you. Okay. All right. So now I can see here that this is an included side. It's between two angles. So I have angle, side, angle. If I look in this one, I have the same thing, angle, side, angle. So this is congruent. We always need to ask, what is it congruent by? It's congruent by angle, side, angle. And we also need to name the congruent statement. So what's congruent to H in this triangle? So they're giving us triangle HOL. So it has one arc on each. So I look at this triangle. The one arc over here is I. So I'll put that first. O is the same in both triangles. We marked it as congruent. And it's in both triangles. And then the last we have L. And the last one here is D. So I can finish out my congruent statement there. Over here in example 2, we want to also find out if these are congruent. Now, like I said, don't be alarmed, like I said last class, by the fact that like this one arc is on the bottom in this triangle and this one arc's on the top in this triangle. Remember that triangles can be flipped and turned. So here I have angle, an included side, and an angle. So angle, side, angle. If I look in the other triangle, I have the same thing, angle, side, angle. So this is congruent by angle, side, angle. I have triangle GEO, so that's this one here. G has two arcs, so if I look at the other triangle, the two arcs is O, so I'm going to put O first. And then E would be congruent to M because they're both the same. They're both only the ones that are not labeled. So if I did label them, they would have the same arcs. So M will be next. And then lastly, I have G. G has one arc in this triangle, and in that triangle, it matches up with O. So something that couldn't possibly be angle, side, angle would be if I had triangles like this. Okay, this is angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. That's not angle, side, angle. It has to be an included side. So that side needs to be between two angles. So just pay attention and be careful of that. And that leads me into angle, angle, side, which is when we have two angles and a non-included side, like I just pictured, of one triangle are congruent to the I don't know why there's such a big space. To the to the non-included side and two angles of a second triangle. The triangles are congruent. Some kind of strange typo there, but we fixed it, no worries. Okay, so let's look at problems of angle, angle, side. So remember here, it's a non-included side. So I have 3 tick marks here, 3 there, 2 there, 2 there, and then a side. So I have angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. These aren't connected, so I can't mark any vertical angles or shared sides. But I do have angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. So yes, this is congruent by angle, angle, side. In this congruent statement, y is first. Y has 3 arcs. In this triangle, 3 arcs is the m. So I'm going to put m first in my congruent statement. The z is unmarked. So is the n in the other one. So n must come next. And last, we have x and l. In example 6 here, I can't mark any shared sides because they're not connected. I can't mark any vertical angles. They're not connected. So I'm just working with what I have. I don't have any sides marked here. So I can't possibly use the postulate angle, angle, side if I don't have anything marked. So these are not congruent actually because what they have is angle, angle, angle. All the angles are marked, which is great, but that's not a postulate. So AAA is not a postulate or shortcut to prove congruency, just like ASS is not one. There's no ASS in geometry and there's no AAA. Okay, so AAA is not a postulate and neither is ASS. So those are some that you may come across. So this is not congruent and I don't need to write a congruency statement because they are not congruent. We can't prove that things are congruent by angle, angle, angle because I could make a triangle. Let's see. I'm going to use my zoom in feature here. I'm going to cut a piece of vinyl I have from my crafts into a triangle. Okay. So I just cut this triangle. Okay. Say that triangle, right now you're trying to prove to me that that triangle is congruent to another triangle by angle, angle, angle. Well, that's not possible because right now if I measured this triangle on my screen, it is about 5. The length of that one's 5 centimeters. If I zoom in and I can zoom in and make this bigger. Okay. The triangle angles are still the same. However, if I measure that side on my screen after I zoom in, it's now at 12 centimeters. Okay. So you can expand or kind of like blow up, like dilate a triangle. You can make it bigger or smaller and the angles will remain the same, but the sides will get bigger or smaller. So we can't prove congruency of triangles by angle, angle, angle because angles remain the same while sides can expand or get smaller. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little sense. So those are our two new shortcuts, our final two shortcuts. So now you know 4 different ways to prove congruency. So today you're going to practice these 2. Next class we'll work on all 4. All right. Have a wonderful Thursday.